Muy buenos días a todos, bienvenidos a esta sesión con Multihexa College. Es un gusto tenerlos aquí. Muchísimas gracias por haber aceptado esta invitación en la mañana de hoy para conversar con un invitado de lujo. Hoy tenemos a Alex DeVries, quien es el representante del College of Multihexa en la ciudad de Saguenay, en la provincia de Quebec. En un ratico más, Alex estará presentando todos los aspectos sobre nuestro college. Estará hablando sobre los programas, sobre los requisitos de admisión, sobre la ciudad de Saguenay, que es una ciudad no tradicional en la provincia, bien al norte de la provincia, con unas condiciones bien especiales para los estudiantes. Hablaremos sobre nuestro campus y haremos un recorrido virtual por el campus. Así que tenemos muchísimas cosas muy especiales. Así que gracias nuevamente, bienvenidos. En temas misceláneos, recuerden que si tienen alguna pregunta pueden irla formulando a través del botón Q&A. Al final de la sesión estaremos resolviendo todas esas preguntas. Como lo mencionaba hace algunos momentos, todos tienen el micrófono bloqueado por defecto. Hacia el final de la sesión, en esa parte, las preguntas lo desbloquearemos para quienes quieran interactuar de manera directa con Alex o con Diana o conmigo. Si quieren hacer su pregunta en español, lo pueden hacer. Si quieren hacer la pregunta en inglés y hablar directamente con Alex, también lo pueden hacer. Así que bastante flexibilidad en esa parte. Disfruten la sesión. Doy la bienvenida también a Dayana, que como siempre nos acompaña desde Perú con todos sus agentes. Gracias, Dayana, por el acompañamiento. Así que sin más que agregar, Alex, thank you so much for accepting the invitation this morning. It's a pleasure to have you here as part of this webinar session. We are really excited to learn more about Multihexa College, and all of our agents present here across Latin America are eager to hear from you and to discover what makes Multihexa College so special. So you can take it from here, Alex. Thanks again and welcome.
Perfect. Buenos dias. My Spanish is not very good at all, so I will take it forward in English. Nice to meet you all. My name is Alexander DeVries. Alex is absolutely fine. I am one of the teachers here at the college, and I'm also in charge of kind of all the student services and the international project that we have running for almost 2 years now. So welcome here to the college in Saguenay. I'm sure there's quite a few of you probably not familiar with the Saguenay region. Beautiful region in the province of Quebec here in Canada. I myself have been living here for nearly 17 years now. As you can tell, I have a British accent. So I'm not a native of Saguenay, but as I say, I've been here for 17 years now. I have 3 children here and my girlfriend, and it's a wonderful life living here. So I've been working at the college for nearly 2 years now. When I initially joined, I was here as a teacher. We were just starting the international program, and they needed a teacher who speaks good English. So they came to me. I'm actually an ex-student of the college as well. Nearly 8 years ago, I did my IT training here. And then I went out to work for a couple of businesses, working as an IT technician before I accepted the job to come here as a teacher. And then they very quickly put me in charge of the international program. Obviously, we're working very closely with the MSM team in India. So again, my English language skills have been quite useful there in that respect as well. So welcome today. What I will be doing is obviously showing you the presentation of the college, talking to you about some details about the college itself, the programs that we offer here, and obviously giving you some information about the region itself as well for the students when they come here. As I say, it's a great part of the world. It's a really wonderful discovery for me to be living here, great quality of life, and a really good place for students to come and live and learn and experience all that there is to experience in Canada. It's a really good place to really have a true experience of Canadian life as well. So, if everyone's ready, as I say, welcome to us today. I will get started on the presentation. So Multihexa College, where students can start strong and smart in Saguenay. As I say, a lot of the presentation will be about the Saguenay region as well. But obviously the key for us here is the IT training that we're going to be giving to students. We are a professional College, fully recognized by the Ministry of Education here in Quebec. We have been going for nearly 26 years now, offering, only IT courses. We don't do anything else here. We specialize very, very much in information technology. So we're very proud of that. We've got over 6,000 students now that have passed through our doors and have achieved their diploma and are working out in the world of IT. Obviously, the IT field is always expanding, always growing. There are increasing number of jobs available in Quebec and across Canada and across the world, really, for IT. It's such a great field to get into. There's so many opportunities. It's a job that you can travel with. It's a job that you can work from home with as well very easily. Obviously, the last year that we've all been living through in the world, which is far from over, has been very tough. So many people have been forced to work from home, not being able to go to their offices to work. But IT is very adapted to that kind of situation. Infrastructures of businesses, all kinds of programming, all these things can be done from home, which is another great advantage that we have. So a little bit more information about the college itself. As you can see on the screen, the image at the top is the campus. Now, it's not just our campus. It's a very big building that used to be the university here in Saguenay before they moved buildings. Once the university moved, it was taken over really as a hub, if you like, of the IT industry here in the region. The biggest company that works here now is CGI. Some of you may have heard of CGI. They're an international company with offices across the world. And again, they're a business very much dedicated to IT, to managing client networks, creating programs, working on databases and all aspects of an IT network. They have roughly 900 employees working in the building. Say most of them are working from home at the moment. And there are probably 9 or 10 other smaller IT-related businesses that work within the building as well. So we're really well situated with all the IT industry that's around us. And it's a great opportunity when the students do complete their courses. They have a 3-month internship to do. CGI and some of the other businesses in the building are some of the first ones to come knocking on our doors, looking for people to come and do their internship. And, very, very often they will carry on there and work there full time afterwards. You can see the location where we are. It's beautiful. There's lots of greenery around us. There's lots of nice trees. It's a very nice residential area. Lots of the student accommodation is very close to the campus. We are equally close to a lot of the important services here in Saguenay. So the hospital, all the shopping centres, the main high street with the restaurants and shops. The river that runs directly through the heart of Saguenay as well is very close to us. And the mountains can be seen across the mountains that are about 45 minutes away from us can be seen from standing outside the college as well. So it's a beautiful location. As I mentioned, the company Multihexa was actually established in 1986. Jacques Perron, who is the president, he started up the business, initially offering IT training to businesses. So the first programs we were offering were really to businesses who would come to us with a specific need. They needed to train up a certain department to be able to use Outlook or Excel or whatever it might be. So we had a large number of programs we were able to offer to businesses. And then we started up the collegial side of the college in about 1995. So as I say, about 26 years we've been going now. And obviously at that point, we started offering the possibility of students to come and join us here, follow an IT program, one of our 2 programs, and then go out into the world and get working straight away. So yeah, we've got lots of students that have been trained up across Quebec in that period. We have a very good reputation now because we've been going for so long. We're very well recognized, not just within the region, but across Quebec for, the good training that our students receive and for good professional employees that come out of here as well. As much as we want to train people to have the technical skills, we want to give them, we want to give young people the professional skills that are required to go out and interact with colleagues and learn how to work under pressure in an environment. So, customer service, which is obviously incredibly important in any industry, give them those kind of skills as well. And again, we're, with that reputation that we now have over the years, we're very well recognized by some of the major private industries across Quebec, equally government departments. So, we have a good basis of people who recognize the good students that come out of the college and are very happy to take them on for the internship and obviously to employ them full-time afterwards. A little bit about the proposition of the college. One thing we're very proud to offer is a very good close relationship, teacher-student. So we don't have huge classrooms with 100, 200 students in there. We try and have nice small class sizes so that each individual student has a good close relationship with their teacher. And equally, us, the teachers, we have the time to be able to get around each individual student, get to know them, help them out with any problems, any questions that they may have. We feel that's the best way to educate them. Everyone can have that little bit of extra attention that they require from the teachers to guide them through their program here. So the ratio is very good. So say it allows that teacher-student relationship to be created. Our programs themselves, as I mentioned before, they're fully backed. We are a designated learning institution. So that means we have a full backing from not just the provisional government, but the federal government as well here in Canada as a recognized institute here in Canada. We have our license, which you can see there on the screen. We've had that for many years. It's obviously something that we renew. When the renewal period comes up, we have to put all our courses forward to the Ministry of Education again, and they have to make sure everything is as it should be, that the teaching we're giving is relevant, is up to date as well. I'm sure you're all aware, IT moves forward incredibly fast, so we have to adapt our classes regularly to make sure that the technologies and the software that we're teaching are up to date and relevant to the market. There is another lovely challenge for students coming here. Quebec, for those of you that know, is obviously very much the French-speaking province of Canada. There's a beautiful history involving the British, and the British were here initially, and the French kind of managed to move us out of Quebec, and they managed to protect the French language here. So obviously the rest of Canada is generally speaking English, but here in Quebec it's generally French. It's one of the two main languages of Canada. Obviously, some parts of Quebec, if you go a bit further south, when you get down to Montreal, certainly, you will find it's probably 50-50 English, French that gets spoken on a daily basis. But we're about 5 hours north of Montreal, 2 hours north of Quebec City, which is the national capital of Quebec. Beautiful city as well. We're very much more in the heart of a French-speaking region of Quebec. So students who come here, one of the challenges they will face is to learn some French as well. Now, obviously, what we're generally doing on our international program is teaching in English. So all of my international students at the moment, they come from India. So I'm obviously teaching them in English. But they are all taking the French classes. The great thing about these French classes is they are offered free of charge by the Ministry of Immigration here. So they offer them to all of the students free of charge. And each student will receive an allocation of money each week for attending the classes. So it's kind of a win-win situation. The student gets paid to actually do the French classes. They have to do about 10 to 12 hours a week. So it's something that obviously we schedule into the weeks for each student. So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. It was a bit of a challenge for me coming from England. My French wasn't too bad. Obviously, my close neighbors are the French. So I had learned some French at school, but it was a bit of a challenge coming here and getting used to the language. But you're in the heart of it, and you kind of immerse yourself in the language, and it's pretty easy to pick up fairly quickly. So a challenge for people coming from India, because it's certainly very, very different to Hindi and Punjabi. For people maybe coming from a Spanish-speaking country, I think it would be less of a problem learning French. So after that, the region, as I mentioned before, fantastic quality of life. Good low cost of living as well versus the big cities like Montreal, like Toronto. So in terms of accommodation, in terms of some of the basic essentials of a student, grocery shopping and these kinds of things, the cost of living is very good here. We have an agency that we work with who helps provide student accommodation with all that they need. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And one of the big advantages of our international student program, which is normally a 2-year study program, so normally they study 2 or 3 days a week. Students have the possibility to work 20 hours a week as well while they're here. So we help provide them with employment in the region. They obviously have the French classes. But once they finish their 2 years of study, they can actually apply for up to a 3-year postgraduate work permit here in Canada. So another amazing opportunity for the students once they've completed their diploma. They can go and work anywhere. It doesn't just have to be in Quebec. They can go and work anywhere at all in Canada with that working permit for up to 3 years. And obviously during that particular period of time while they're working, they will have the opportunity to apply to become a permanent resident here in Canada as well. If they do wish to move here on a permanent basis, all of those kind of opportunities will open up to them. So that's a great opportunity for students here. We mentioned online programs. We were giving the possibility of online classes to people, obviously, once the COVID-19 situation arrived. We had a lot of students that were stuck in their countries. They couldn't fly here at all because of the restrictions. So we have been teaching to students online in India. It's been quite a big challenge because there's 9.5 hours difference, obviously, between us here and the students in India. It's still a possibility. We're going to see how things go. We have to see the COVID situation changes all the time from country to country. So ideally, we'd love students to come here on the campus. We now do have the right to have our students back on campus. My group of Indian students have been back on campus for the last 2 months, which is really, really fun. Really fun having them, you know, face to face in the classroom, which is great. So we'll have to see how that situation is in the next couple of months. Bit more about the college. Obviously, I mentioned the history of the college a little bit. The teachers themselves that we have here. Generally, our teachers tend to come more from an IT professional background as opposed to a teaching background. We like to have teachers that have experience out in the real world. A lot of the students, a lot of the teachers that come here are ex-students like myself. There's 2 or 3 others that are working here at the moment that are ex-students of the college. They went out into the field. One of them did their class back here in 1999. He went out and worked for, 20 odd years in the field and then decided to come back here as a teacher. We feel that the real hands-on, real world experience is a real value added proposition for students coming here. IT is the kind of field that you really need to have experienced all the little bugs and problems and the whole network going down. You need to have experienced those kind of situations in the real world. We really think that adds to our training that we can offer to our students, the experience that we ourselves as teachers have had. So yeah, we've got a great bunch of teachers here. Some of them have been here for, one of the teachers has been here since the very beginning, I think for 26 years. Another couple who have probably been here around 10 years. So, a good team. They know really well the place. They know really well the field of IT as well. And as I mentioned, we're gonna do our best to give them all the skills that they require to go forward as a professional as well, to learn, how to work in a team and how to be respectful in the workplace and obviously look after customers as they should be. That's a very important factor for us as well. Right, that's a little bit about the college. I'm going to come to the courses themselves shortly, just to give you a little bit more information about Saguenay itself. Obviously, with the world of Google and so on these days, do feel free to, tap Saguenay into your web browser and have a look. You will see it is a beautiful region to be in. As I say, situated roughly 5 hours north of Montreal. Beautiful region. There's 3 big national parks surrounding the region here. We have a mountain range that is very close by. Obviously, when you're thinking of Canada, you must think of the Canadian winters. The Canadian winters can be pretty intense. Coming from England, where everyone assumes that it rains all day long. It was a shock to the system, certainly dealing with some of the temperatures in the winter. It can get down to minus 40 degrees centigrade for a few weeks, and it's cold. But equally, it's something to be embraced, the Canadian winters. We have lots of snow, and we have lots of winter activities to go along with that. We have the mountains very close for skiing and snowboarding. There's ice fishing and dog sledding and snowmobiling. So, and just getting out for a walk on a nice, crisp winter's day. You know, it's a really good, clean, fresh air. So it's a great place for the outdoor activities. Same thing in the summer. We have lots of big lakes. We have endless campsites that you can go and build a fire and you know, sit around and sing songs and experience Canadian life, maybe even see a bear or two. I took my kids camping last year and we did actually see a bear, thankfully not too close to the campsite, but you know, all part of the Canadian experience. So it's great for that. I really think that's an advantage for students as well, that they might not have if they go to a big city. They do have this beautiful open air all around us here in Saguenay. So there's endless activities that they can do all throughout the year. Also, Saguenay is a great center of culture. We have all sorts of festivals every year, international music festivals. We have, you know, some of the big bands will come here and play concerts. Art festivals. We have a film festival. We have a very big wine festival, one of the biggest in Quebec every year. So, you know, there's lots of cultural activities to do. There's theaters and there's lots of shows all year round. Obviously, it's been a little bit tricky in the last year. A lot of the festivals were cancelled. We'll have to see what happens this summer. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed that the situation improves. So yeah, outdoor activities, cultural activities, we have all of that here. We're very close to some beautiful nature parks, so you can go and look at some wildlife. We have whales. We have the whales that actually migrate very close to Saguenay as well, so you can go whale watching. We have the beautiful River Saguenay, which runs through the town, fishing. All these kinds of activities can be done. So there's lots to enjoy when you're not doing your studies and when you're not working. And equally, while we're not a big city like Montreal, I feel we have all the services anyone would require. We have all the shops and restaurants and bars, and, you know, hopefully students won't be spending too much time in the bars, but, you know, we have all those kinds of services and cinemas, everything that everyone would need to enjoy, you know, the other aspects of life aside from their studies. What I would like to do now, I have a beautiful video that was produced by the tourist board here in Saguenay. I'm just going to run that video for you straight away, just give you some beautiful images of the region. Okay, so that video, as I say, was produced by the tourist board. One of the terms they use is majestic. I think that's an excellent way to sum up the region here. The River Saguenay actually does run through a fjord. Those of you who are familiar with fjords, a lot of us think of places like Norway when it comes to the fjords. Well, it's actually a fjord here, so it's the boat tours that run up and down the river. All the scenery is incredible. Lots of open space, lots of greenery, and as I say, just a beautiful, clean, fresh air to be living without, you know, with everything you need as a city, without all the stresses and traffic necessarily of a very big city. So I think it's absolutely ideal. It's a great environment to have a good, you know, a good clear mind and be able to concentrate on your studies and enjoy some of the Canadian life as well. In terms of students living in, to say they can find good accommodation. We have excellent services provided to students where an accommodation, a rented room will provide them with all the furniture they need. Heating, electricity costs will be included, and the internet, you know, full speed internet is also included in the package prices of the apartments. So These are obviously very good factors. Plus, they get some very good services and help from the landlords of these apartments. So we have some really good accommodation lined up for. Some of the other key costs are obviously grocery shopping each month, as long as students are careful and there's lots of budget shops that you can buy all your groceries in each week and each month. $200 to $300 maybe a month for those kinds of things. Other key expenses include medical insurance. It's a legal requirement here in Quebec. The bus pass that we provide, we have the student rates for the bus passes. That's about $50 a month. It's not something mandatory for the students, but it's appreciated during the winter when it's kind of cold and walking to college maybe is a bit tough. And obviously maybe getting themselves a mobile phone. That's obviously something that everybody likes to have. So those are some of the essential costs. And then obviously the rest is whatever they decide to do in terms of activities that they need to budget for. But they will have the opportunity to work 20 hours a week and obviously make some money to help them out. So transport system here in Saguenay is very good. It's buses. We don't have a train system. We have an excellent bus service which runs all across the region. And obviously further, if they want to take a bus to Quebec City or Montreal, that's possible too. The buses are very good. They run on time. They run come rain, come high winds, whatever the weather is. They run in 2 feet of snow. So they keep going all the time. So yeah, good services that will get students to and from the college and the shops, everything that they need. Right, programs of study, pretty straightforward here at the college. We don't have a huge list of programs that we offer. For many years now, we've been simply offering our 2 programs to students, obviously completely IT based. We don't have any other type of classes that we offer here. We've been going for a long time now doing this. So as I say, we've got lots of experience in the field. We've got lots of good contacts with some of the major players in the field as well. Microsoft, for example, we have close relationships with them. They provide us with the equipment and books that we need. So, we've got a good, we're well set up in that sense. We have partnerships with companies like CGI as well. So they come to us for our students. We go to them for their expertise sometimes. So as I say, we're very well located and very well recognized now for what we do. First program we have is the Programmer Analyst program. So this is for those that like to do coding, if you like, and that's the easiest way of putting it. So those that like to sit down and get into all the code that is behind every single program that runs every single thing that we do every day on our computer. Even the simplest device that we plug into a computer, a mouse and a keyboard, there's a little piece of code behind that allows the operating system to recognize and run it, to the very advanced programs like an operating system, like your Windows 10 or any piece of software. Somebody has to build the code that's behind that. That's the kind of skills that we're going to be teaching them in the Programmer Analyst classes. Equally, these days, what's very popular, mobile applications. So they'll be able to learn how to manage, create mobile applications, websites, design, build websites, work with databases. All of these kinds of skills they're going to be learning throughout their 2 years here at the college. We give you an idea of the average salary that will be available to students afterwards. So, $42,500 up to about maybe 45,000 Canadian dollars to start off with. So it's very good. And obviously that's something that can, only increase as you learn more skills, as you specialized in the field of IT afterwards. That's something that will obviously increase. That is a 2-year program.
Creo que perdimos a Alex por unos momentos. Permítanos mientras recuperamos la conexión con él, y también perdimos a Dayana. Regálenos unos momentos para... bueno, tenemos aquí a Dayana, pero Alex se desconectó repentinamente.
Sí, a ver, veamos qué podemos hacer para reconectarlo. Mientras, por favor, si pueden ir creando sus preguntas en el chat box que tenemos o para ir viéndolas al final de la capacitación, ¿no? Hay que sacar provecho de que justamente estamos teniendo esta capacitación y hacerle todas las preguntas posibles que les pueda ayudar a ustedes para su reclutamiento, ¿no? Entonces, sí, por favor nos las pueden ir escribiendo o al final también vamos a poder abrir lo que es el micrófono para que cada uno pueda hacer su pregunta. Gracias.
Guys, did we
Hey,
just
Alex,
lose everyone?
we lost you for a bit, but we are here.
Okay, you just lost me because my network is fine. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let me get back to where I was. Hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone still there? Okay, good. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
we
Perfect.
can. Mm-hmm.
Apologies for that. I have absolutely no idea what just happened, but hey, that's the world of IT. Network problems do come along. So, right, so back to Network Manager. As I say, this is the one that I did. I went and worked in a couple of businesses here in the region, including CGI for 2 years as a system administrator, which was a really fun job. It's for those that like a challenge, that like a little bit of stress as well in the workplace. Obviously, we all realize these days how absolutely essential IT networks are to everyone, even in our homes. You know, we're frustrated when we're watching Netflix and the network goes down. And obviously in businesses, it's absolutely essential that our networks are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, those big companies like Amazon and people like that, they can't have even 1 second of downtime. Everything has to be running nonstop. That's the kind of job you're going to get as a network manager, running what's going on in the background. So keeping the network running properly, keeping the servers running properly. Lots of exciting projects that can come along as well to, you know, set up new networks, set up new equipment. And as I say, a good amount of stress that comes with that job, but it's really fun. It keeps you on your toes. So similar kind of initial salary that the students will be looking at when they come out of here. So, you know, about 40,000 a year Canadian to start off with. You know, I never necessarily had planned out being a teacher in the end in IT, but I'm really, really pleased that's how I've ended up. I really enjoy the teaching side of IT. It's really, really fun. So I think either one of our two programs, that's the two of them, Programmer Analyst and Network Manager. You know, each student will have the opportunity, even when they've done their first inscription, they'll have to choose one of the two programs. But we do give them the opportunity after some of the first classes are done to change if they find that they actually prefer the other side. If they've chosen Network Manager, they actually maybe prefer programming. That's no problem to change as well. But it's a great field to be getting into. There's so many jobs, you know, with artificial intelligence and the network of things, all of these new technologies that are coming along. It's a fascinating world to be working in. So that's our two programs, 2-year programs, 2 or 3 days a week of classes, as I mentioned. Throughout the 2 years, there's a great project that they do at the end, the kind of final project that they will work on. And then, as I say, they'll go straight into the internship, which is 3 months. So we'll obviously help them find their employer who's going to take them on for their internship afterwards. They'll get 3 months to put into practice everything they've learned. And fingers crossed, at the same time, they'll have done the process for the 3-year work permit afterwards, and they'll be able to go out and obviously take on a full-time job and stay here for at least another 3 years. So that's our two programs. This just gives you a quick slide that gives you some of the technologies that we will be working with in classes. Most of these ones are related to the programmers. So anyone who does a bit of programming, who's familiar with some of the languages that there are, HTML, Python, JavaScript, PHP, Microsoft.NET. There are a lot of different computer languages out there, depending on what you're going to be doing. There's some old ones like COBOL. There's lots out there. There's lots of specialists needed to do certain types of programming languages. So they'll learn quite a few of them here. Some of the most important ones definitely out in the market. As a network manager, you'll learn to work with, obviously, Microsoft Server. We are a Microsoft authenticated college. So we obviously tend to work with Microsoft products. So Microsoft Server, Microsoft databases, companies like Cisco, who make a lot of network equipment. We'll equally look at Linux, which is very present in businesses as well, another operating system that's available out there. We'll look at cybersecurity. We'll look at VMware for creating virtual computers. So, you know, lots of exciting technologies to learn here at the college. Some of the local employment opportunities, this is always interesting for people to know. The biggest one in terms of IT that I mentioned is CGI. They have an office here. It's one of their head offices where they initially started the company CGI many years ago. They have offices in Quebec City and in Montreal as well. Microsoft actually have an office in Quebec City now as well. We have Ubisoft here for anyone who plays video games. Ubisoft are very well known for some of their video games. They have an office here now as well in the region. So that's the IT side, if you like. Then in terms of some of the big industries we have here, big industries these days are obviously totally dependent on their IT networks as well. Rio Tinto is a very big one. Some of you may have heard of them. I think they are either owned by an Australian company or possibly a Brazilian company now. They started off life here in Saguenay. They are in the aluminium industry. They're one of the biggest in the world. We have Hydro-Quebec. We have 3 hydroelectric dams here in the region. And again, they're providing electricity to Canada. And in fact, they're providing electricity to the northern parts of the United States as well. So again, very big IT networks that can be worked on. The forestry industry is very big here as well. Resolute is one of the big forestry companies here in the region. So lots of great opportunities with local businesses, with international companies for work once everyone's finished their classes. For the graduates themselves, we like to think they're going to have a very bright future. IT is an excellent field to be getting into. So many fields, so many types of jobs have been affected by the COVID situation. IT, in a sense, we literally have not stopped. In fact, it's probably got even, we've already probably had even more work to do, managing all the Zoom and the Teams conferences that we all have these days. You know, somebody has to look after those and make sure they're all running, and everyone connecting up to their businesses from homes using VPNs. So there's lots and lots of work for us here in IT, and that's never going to change. We have an 85% placement rate, which is obviously very, very good. I'm personally very confident someone comes out of here with their diploma and they'll have no trouble at all finding work afterwards. Excuse me a second. Some of the costs can be credited as well. If someone eventually does complete their course and their internship, get their diploma, and they stay here obviously to work, there is a possibility of crediting some of the courses that they've actually paid for through a couple of government programs that exist here. I said the college is beautifully situated here in Saguenay. All of the services are all around us. Some of these big businesses I've mentioned, they're very close to us. They have their head offices and their factories close by. And they know us very well, and you know they're always very keen to take on our students. Obviously, the small class sizes that I mentioned is a great advantage, and obviously the teachers themselves who've got lots of experience out there in the field. And as I mentioned, we do work very closely with some of the major players like VMware, like Microsoft. You know, when we're putting our classes together, when we need materials, those kinds of things, we have good relationships with them here as well in the region. A little bit about the international program, and the international program is still fairly new to us. It's been going for roughly nearly 2 years now. Before that, you know, it was really students within the region. And last year, we actually launched our online programs for Quebec students. So that kind of opened up the whole province to us. So people can study online throughout their classes as a domestic student, if they're in Montreal, wherever they may be. So that's another opportunity we have now at the college. For the international students, as I say, it's still fairly new. We're still getting students coming through. I'm sure like many colleges across the world, we've been very much affected by the COVID situation. Students who were supposed to come here in May last year had to defer to September, then January. And, you know, it's been a tough process. So we would like to have more students here, but it's just not been possible because of the situation. But we've got another group turning up in the next few weeks. So we're very excited about that. You can see some pictures here of on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. On the left, it is actually me wearing the sunglasses, taking some of the students for a day out in Quebec City. On the right-hand side, you can see some of them standing in the center of Saguenay on a winter's day. These are obviously Indian students, so coming from kind of plus 40 degrees to minus 40 degrees. They're quite a shock to the system, but I think they're enjoying the winters. So yeah, it's great. We've got a university here in Saguenay as well. Lots of international students from all across the world. So there's a good community of international students here. There's obviously a great community of local people. The local people are very warm and friendly. As I say, you don't have that rush of a big city. People have a bit more time to stop and say hello and help you out if you need. So it's definitely a great place to be living. Where we are, so as I mentioned, we're about 5 hours drive from Montreal, 55 minutes in a plane. There's a local airport here that people generally get the flight from Montreal to Saguenay. 2 hours from Quebec City by car, which isn't really too far, and certainly in terms of Canada, because it's so big. We're very much, if you like, the entry point to the northern territories of Canada itself as well. So as I say, beautifully located. There's not much after us. Generally in Canada, everyone lives towards the south because obviously it's a bit warmer there. The northern territories, there isn't many people living there. It's mainly animals and obviously a long winter. So mentioned obviously the housing cost, the transportation system, which is very good here. I'd say online classes, something we can discuss depending on the numbers of people. If it is difficult to get here, obviously we're open to do that for students as well. So lots of advantage for our international students who might be coming here. And since we've got the program going, I've been in touch with so many agencies in town, and it's been really great experience to see how many agencies there are there to help people arriving, immigrants arriving for any reason at all, whether it's for working or to join a family member or to study here. There's loads of great agencies there that will help students from the moment that they arrive, take them to the supermarket for the first time, help them open a bank account and get their social insurance numbers and all their kinds of requirements. I am here for that. I take very good care of the students, and obviously we've got great agencies here who will help us out, finding them jobs, all these kinds of things, the French classes. So, we're very well set up to welcome international students here in the region. Right, I think that's pretty much me done. I've been talking for a while, so I think, David, if you're happy with all of that, sorry I cut out for a few seconds, but I hope everyone followed me okay. And obviously, I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Alex. Amazing presentation. Very, very informational. And we do have a number of questions here already. So let's get started with this.
Sure.
Laura, in Mexico, she would like to know about job opportunities for spouses in the area and part-time jobs for the students.
Okay, so as I mentioned, job opportunities, since we started the international program, we've been working hard with the Chamber of Commerce here in the region and, lots of businesses. Jacques, who's been here, the president of the college, who's been working here for kind of 30 years now. He's obviously very well known, so he's got lots of contacts. So, we've worked hard already to build a database of factories and shops and hotels and all kinds of other businesses that will take our students for obviously the part-time work that they can do throughout their study program. And obviously afterwards, when it comes to actually doing the internship, we've been sending students out for internships for many, many years. So we've got lots of good contacts for that as well. So, I'm very, very confident in people finding part-time work during their program, finding their internship at the end of the program, and going on to find full-time work. Here in the region, we hope some people will stay here. It's a beautiful place to live. It's a great place to bring up a family. Or, if someone decides they're going to move to Quebec, Montreal, Toronto, there's lots and lots of opportunities for work. So.
Great, Alex. Thank you. And following up on that question, this one is from my end. One of the main, questions that we get asked from the agents is about the students' French level. So they are a little bit concerned that because the French is not their main language, they do have a command of English, they do have a good level of English, but their French is either very minimal or still in the development process.
Sure.
What can you tell us about that related to job finding? Would that be a limitation? Would there be opportunities for those type of students? What sort of reassurances or your experience can you share with us in regards of that?
Definitely. No, it's a very good point as well. Look, the best thing I can say to you is this: the first group of international students we have are from India. So India, obviously, their English is not their first language either. Hindi, Punjabi, these are the languages they have as their first language. French is completely foreign to them, if I can use that expression. So French, they don't have any French at all. When they come here, as I say, the French classes, they will start them pretty much straight away, and they will work them up to a good standard of French throughout the 2 years that they're at college. What we have done, and I've made a very clear point of this with all of the employers that I've been speaking with, is saying to them, look, we've got a batch of students, they don't speak much French, so what we're looking for is jobs that maybe don't involve too much customer service initially. So for example, I've got my students working in a factory. What tends to happen is I tend to go along on the first day with the students, kind of act as the translator. So, you know, and the people do speak English in the region. People mustn't worry. There's lots of English spoken in this region. Maybe not perfectly, but, you know, people do speak English here. So people don't need to worry too much. And I tend to go along. I tend to translate on the first day. So once the student understands the tasks that they've got to do, they can go ahead and carry on. And, you know, working in an environment as well with a different language is a great way to assimilate it as well and start understanding it a bit better. But all of the employers that I contact initially, until the students have reached a certain level of French, I always say to them, look, they need something at the moment that doesn't have too much customer service. So factory jobs are good. You know, cleaning in hotel rooms, for example, is another good one. You know, we've got a few other things that we've got students working, doing some outdoor jobs this summer, you know, maintaining outdoor spaces, things like that. So once they've got the instructions of what they have to do each day, you know, they're happy to go along, and the feedback's been very good so far. So yes, it could be a factor, but we warn, you know, we make sure the employers are completely aware that, you know, these guys are just starting to learn French. So, and, you know, the employers that are taking them on are very happy with that situation. And, you know, as I say, I've got no problems in finding people work until obviously once their French gets better, once they're more confident to speak with people, that will then open obviously more doors to them. Then they can do customer service jobs. And so, yeah, it's kind of all part of the experience. Yeah.
That's amazing, Alex, because then the environment is very supportive, and we are there. You are there for the students to help them find these jobs.
Yeah, definitely. No, I mean, that's you know, I care a great deal about these guys. You know, I know what it's like to travel a long distance, you know, and to a completely different country in a different climate. I mean, as I say, I've kind of done the same thing myself turning up here. So, yeah, you know, I want everyone to survive and enjoy their time here.
Yes, and also, Alex, I would like to know, you have mentioned that these classes for the students are free. These classes should be free also for if they, for example, if they have a couple or a partner. I mean, they can also study this course in Multihexa College, the French classes.
Yeah, definitely. No, say the French, it's very much the Ministry of Immigration here that offer them to foreign workers, foreign students who come. It's a program that they have. You know, they want to encourage people to learn French. One of the big worries of the Quebec government is the loss of the French language, because most of the rest of Canada is English speaking, and Montreal is now kind of 50-50. So, you know, they want to protect the French language. They want to encourage people to learn it. You know, it's a great, I think the more languages you speak, the better. And I mean, certainly in IT, if you then want to move somewhere, if you speak Spanish, French, and English, well, you can get a job almost anywhere in the world. So, but yeah, free of charge. And as I say, we plan all the classes with the ministry here. The French classes are actually given on the campus as well, which is nice. So it's, you know, the students get the chance to come to the campus a bit more as well. But they get involved with other groups who are learning French. So students from all around the world, they go and do activities with them as well. And as I say, they do actually get a small allocation of money given to them each week for the classes that they attend.
So they have different schedules to choose during the day.
Yeah, we obviously have to plan it. You know, I mean, I have quite a job juggling, you know, their 20 hours work a week, the classes at the college, the IT classes, the French classes. It can be a bit of a challenge putting the weekly schedules together. I'll be honest, but no, I mean, it's fun. And obviously, you know, we make sure everything fits. You know, and we make sure that if they've got a big exam the next day and they're supposed to have a French class the night before, that, you know, we've got lots of flexibility so that they can maybe take the night off, study, those kinds of things. So, yeah, we do our best to make sure they have at least one day off
of classes
and explore. And
yeah, and just to be sure, they need to do 10 to 12 hours per week.
10 to 12 hours if they want the allocation, yes. And obviously, within 2 years at that rate, to get to a certain level, if they want to actually become a permanent resident and they want to do the application process in Quebec, they do have to show that they've reached a certain level of French as well. So it's kind of an important factor for that as well at the end.
Okay, I see. Okay, thank you. David, do you have any question?
Yes, several questions here from our agents. So this one is from Ingrid as well as from Bettina in Peru. How much is the minimum wage per hour? And can you tell us on average how many hours are students working?
Well, as I say, I mean, all my students I've got so far are working 20 hours a week. That's the maximum they're allowed to do. They can't do more than that. But with the study visa that they receive, obviously the important thing is the study itself. 20 hours is the most that they can do, and they're all doing their full 20 hours. So they're all very happy. Obviously, that extra bit of money is helpful for paying their accommodation, their groceries, all those kinds of things. The average wage here in Canada is a good question. That changes quite regularly. I think it's around $14 an hour at the moment. You know, but it's maybe $13.50, but some places pay a little bit more. You know, some students are earning 14, some are earning $14.50. You know, from one place to another, the salaries will vary, but they obviously have to respect that minimum wage. So I think it's about $13.50 an hour at the moment.
Excellent. This one is from Bettina and Peru as well. Good morning, Alex. Do we have access to a homestay directory?
Do we have access to?
A homestay directory, meaning that several links where they can look for their homestay. If you can tell us
for the accommodation.
how the homestay process allocation works.
Right, I see, absolutely. Okay. We haven't actually got a platform at the moment for that. We work with an agency who are very good. The agency work with lots of different landlords in town, and they kind of do screening processes for the landlords to make sure that they're good people. Unfortunately, there are always stories that come along from everywhere, I'm sure, you know, of landlords maybe not treating people so well and you know, not taking care of international students. So they screen all the landlords and make sure that they are, you know, happy to take international students, that they're going to look after them. And then they obviously provide us with, you know, a database of accommodation that's available. And then obviously, you know, we contact each student before they come here once they've gone through some of the inscription process. And obviously we look at everyone's individual needs. Normally it's shared apartments. You know, we've got five guys and girls living together in one apartment. So they each have their own room, you know, which has a desk in and everything they need in their room. And then they share the common spaces like the kitchen and the bathroom, that sort of thing. So, but you know, we have another agency we do some work with as well. They have a very good Facebook site, and they obviously post rooms that are available for students as well. So there are definitely, you know, some good services that can be used for accommodation.
Thank you, Alex. Next question from Lara in Mexico. The best international airport to fly to would be Montreal, I guess. From Montreal, what is the usual mean of transportation that students would take to get to Saguenay? Would they drive or would they just take another flight?
Okay, well, if we were in a normal situation, which we're not at the moment, what would normally happen is at the moment, the government of Canada have only got 4 entry points into Canada. So it's Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary, I think, are the 4 airports that you're allowed to fly in at the moment. And obviously at the moment you have to take, when you arrive at one of the 4 entry points, you have to take a COVID test straight away. You have to stay in a government approved hotel for 3 days. When you get your COVID test back, then you can transfer to your quarantine accommodation for the remaining part of the 14-day mandatory quarantine. And then obviously after that, if everything's good, you're free to go out and explore. So that's kind of the COVID situation. It's complicating things a bit, as it's complicating life for everybody in many ways. But what would normally happen is, yes, the best place would be to Montreal. It's obviously the closest to us here. At the moment, the problem is when you arrive, you can't take public transport. You can't take the bus services. And a lot of the bus services are very restricted at the moment. So whereas in a normal time, you might have 2 or 3 buses running from Saguenay to Montreal every day, there may only be 1 a week at the moment, and you still can't take it because you're in your quarantine period. The only real option at the moment, to be honest, is getting the flight from Montreal to Saguenay Airport. And that, again, is tricky at the moment because whereas they normally have 3 or 4 flights every day, I mean, it's only a 50-minute flight. At the moment, there's maybe only 1 flight every 2 or 3 days. So it's making life kind of tricky to, you know, people who are arriving at the moment, they're having problems just trying to get the flights all timed together. So yeah, in a normal situation, you would have the option of buses. You would have, you know, the option of driving if you had that possibility. But at the moment, it's a bit restricted just simply because of COVID. So flights is an option. but there are obviously less flights than usual.
Following up on that question, Alex, once
Yes.
they finalize that first period of quarantine at the designated hotel airport,
Yep.
what happens next? So would they be transferring immediately to Saguenay, or the recommendation is just to get an Airbnb and complete the remainder of the quarantine in Montreal, and then sort of have a little bit more flexibility to rent a car and drive up to Saguenay? Are homestays taking the students to finalize that quarantine period?
Well, that's another thing. Now, there are options. Obviously, when they first arrive, they take that 3 days in a hotel. If, for example, after that, the flight to Saguenay was another 2 days later, they can stay, if possible, in the same hotel for 2 extra days. They are then allowed to transfer into another hotel if they need to temporarily. What you have to remember is the 14 days starts the moment the person arrives in Canada, the 14-day mandatory period. So whatever they do, they have to respect that as much as possible. So they have to take the 3 days in a government-approved hotel. What they then can't do is they can go and stay in another hotel as long as it's approved by the hotel that they're obviously in that quarantine period. They can't go and stay with a family member or a friend. You know, a lot of people might say, well, I've got a friend in Montreal, I'll go and stay with them. You can't do that. So you could stay somewhere else near Montreal and then maybe drive after you finished your quarantine period. Yes, that would be an option. The accommodation agency we have, the landlords are all very happy to provide the apartment the student will have maybe on a long-term basis as their quarantine location as well. So maybe they have 11 days left of their quarantine period. They can do the 11 days in that accommodation and then stay there long-term afterwards, which is actually quite good because it means they don't then have to switch from another place to another place. They can come there, they can unpack, they do their quarantine, but then they just stay in the same place and they're ready to go kind of thing. So that kind of saves a stage along the way.
Okay, great. Yeah, so best recommendation that we can give to agents at the moment would be just to process their student applications as soon as possible, so that we have plenty of time to figure all of these bits.
Yeah, that's it. There's quite a few extra details to figure out. So, you know, and like I say, the other thing that we can't control is the COVID situation. You know, some countries it's getting much better. Some countries it's getting much worse. And obviously the vaccine programs have started, and, you know, in a week's time, it might be more restricted. In a week's time, it might be less restricted. It changes every week. So that's a particularly important point I can say at the moment is whatever process, whatever stage you're at, certainly if you're starting to look at, you've received your visa and you're starting to look at, you know, booking flights and things like that. The first step I would absolutely make sure of is look on the Canadian government websites about the COVID information. You know, they get updated regularly. Keep an eye on what's going on there just to make sure you can travel. If you need a test before you leave, you know, all those kind of factors are important in planning before you leave. So.
Absolutely, Alex. Thank you. A follow-up question from Lara here. What is the recommended option for medical insurance for students in Quebec and their family members, if you can add that too?
Yeah. No, medical insurance, like I say, it's a legal requirement here in Quebec and Canada that a student has medical insurance. Now, in Quebec, I don't necessarily know for all the other provinces, but here in Quebec, we have a program offered by the government to citizens. So obviously we have like a public health service, if you like. So we have our medical cards. So if we need to go to the pharmacy, if we need to go and see a doctor, all of these kinds of things, we have that. A student coming here doesn't have the right to have that program. They would have to become a permanent resident here before they could have that program. But their medical insurance has to be an equivalent of that. So what I mean by that, it has to cover all, it has to almost be exactly the same in terms of what it covers as the government program here. So people have to be careful because hundreds of companies offers medical insurance, but it may not cover the legal requirements of the Quebec insurance. I hope you're following me on that. So what we recommend to people is, as soon as you step off the plane, you should have some travel insurance. Now, to give a slightly crazy scenario, but if you get off the plane and you fall over and break your leg, you want to make sure you're covered straight away when you touch down on Canadian soil, okay? We recommend only maybe taking a month of travel insurance. We have a policy at the college. We don't force anyone to take it, but it's a very good one that's used by the universities here in Quebec. It's a student policy, and it is an equivalent of the government medical plan that's offered. So normally what we do is we put all our students on that. It's about $50 to $60 a month, if I remember correctly. And so they go straight onto that plan. And then obviously they're covered throughout their time here at the college with that medical insurance there. So we don't recommend that students buy anything from their home country, because you have to be very careful. If you buy something for a year and it doesn't actually respect the requirements of the Canadian medical insurance, then you've kind of wasted your money. So, there are 2 or 3 companies here that do offer equivalences. We did some shopping around and we found the one that we thought would be best. It is used by some of the universities here as well in Quebec. So that's the one we offer to students here.
Excellent, Alex. Last couple of questions. Access to vaccines for international students. Can you provide with an update in regards of that? Are you aware whether that is going to be a possibility or not? Maybe a student would...
That's a very good question. I honestly couldn't give you an answer at the moment. I mean, I don't know how, countries like Peru and Mexico are doing their programs. We're following a similar program here to maybe the UK, for example. So it's going by groups of ages. So obviously they started with the older age groups and obviously the medical professionals, those who are working in essential services. And then they work down from the group 55 to 60, 50 to 55, and so on and so on. So at the moment, I think they're going to announce, the government today, that people who are 40 and over will be able to start getting vaccinated. And obviously, it's a question of how the quantities they've got of vaccines and all those kinds of things. So in terms of international students, that is an excellent question. Depending on when that student is planning on coming here, if it's maybe, if it's next week, then they're probably not going to get the vaccine in their home country before they come here. So I don't know what we do about that, I'll be honest. If they're not coming for a couple of months and maybe they might be able to get one in their home country, then obviously that would be fantastic. But I haven't heard anything simply mentioned about international students yet. I think obviously they're working their way through the age groups for the moment. So we'll have to see how it develops, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Alex. And the last question that we have from Ingrid in Peru. Thank you, Alex, for your excellent presentation. Amazing place. I would like for you to tell us why we should be sending our students to Multihexa College. What is the best added value that the college is providing to international students? What sets us different and what sets you apart from other colleges in the province of Quebec?
Well, look,
great question to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to wrap it up. Definitely. I mean, I'm not necessarily a salesman as such, but I'm very passionate about working here at the college. I'm very passionate about the region. As I say, it's a discovery for me as well. I've been here 17 years. It's a fantastic place to be raising my kids. I think one thing I definitely say is it's very easy. There's lots, there's the big cities here that everyone knows in Canada: Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. It's very easy to choose one of the many hundreds of college options that there are. I think you have to be prepared to take a little bit more of a challenge on to come here to Saguenay with the language factor. But it's such a great environment, I believe, for students. I really do. I mean, there are those that prefer to be in cities, absolutely. But, I think the surroundings that we have here, the nature that we have here, I think if someone's going to come to Canada, you shouldn't just be coming just purely for your studies. I think you should be coming to live the Canadian experience. And I don't think going to Toronto or Montreal, you necessarily get that when you go there. Any city you can go to in the world is a city, right? So you're going to experience city life. Whereas coming here, you're going to actually experience Canadian life and the nature and the beauty and the surroundings. And like I say, the team we've got here, the infrastructure we've got here are fantastic. And, if I can throw myself out there as a sales point, not trying to be, I'm the last person who would be big-headed or anything in this world. But, I've had a lot of feedback from the students, international students I have here already, that, the services that I provide, helping them out with all the documents and requests that they've got, they don't get that in the big cities from the colleges. They tend to just kind of let you go and look after yourself and deal with your problems kind of thing. I kind of wrap them up and do everything I can for them. It keeps me busy, but I want these people, these guys, they've traveled a long way. I want them to feel safe and secure and have the services they need and enjoy themselves. And I'd throw myself out there as a good reason to send your students here, because they will, I promise you, and you can tell their parents, they will get very well looked after. And we've got a great bunch of international students here already. They're already helping me out with the newer ones arriving. And I just think it's a great environment to come and learn. I think you're going to learn from some excellent professionals who've got loads and bags of knowledge in the world of IT. I hope that kind of answers that question. Do come and join us here. It's a beautiful place to be. So,
Excellent, Alex. Appreciate it. I think we've had an amazing presentation. Thank you so much for the insight, for your personal point
really nice to meet you guys.
of view.
I've been doing these webinars quite a lot with the team in India, and we've done some with people in Sri Lanka, and we've done one in Africa. So it's fantastic to welcome South America as well to the list. We're a bit more on the same time zone as well. That kind of helps a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely you'll be seeing some of our students for fall this year and for winter next year. So we're really excited about that. So definitely the Latin American cohort is going to continue to grow in our college. So thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate it.
I've got a great welcome guide that we send out to students who are kind of signing up, with lots of information about the region and the activities, festivals, Canadian life, what to know. So, I've got lots of other documents we've already produced. So you need any resources or, anything at all, let me know. We should trade our email and WhatsApp information, David, as well after this, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. We will do that. That would be really helpful for sure. I already have a few requests here from your presentation that I'll be putting through for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Any questions, anything I didn't cover, let me know. And, I don't promise I have the answer to absolutely everything, but, I've been here a little while, and as I say, I'm hugely passionate about, the region, the college here. So, and about people, I think, as I say, I don't want people to feel they're just going to come here and, just get on with it and sort yourself out. I want to make sure, I'm a people person, and I'm here to take care of the students.
They feel welcome and they feel the warmth.
Exactly. It's a big step coming this far, and there's challenges ahead. I'm not going to hide, learning a new language and meeting new people, and Canadian winter is quite an experience,
there is for sure going to be a cultural shock for sure, but that's what you're there for, to ease students into that process and to, based on your experiences, even your personal ones, just to help them go through that process as well.
This is exactly it. I've been through it, and I've been meeting the people here, and I've discovered a really warm and friendly people that live in the region here, and they're very open to new faces and people from all around the world, and it's great for that. So
excellent, Alex. We're looking forward to our session next month, because we are going to continue to invite you to be part of this session. So we will schedule some new sessions for May. So thank you so much, Alex. Appreciate it. Muchísimas gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí con nosotros. Les recuerdo que vamos a enviar el video de esta presentación, así como con la presentación como tal. Muchísimas gracias por su asistencia. Ya saben que Dayana en Perú y conmigo para los demás países en América Latina estamos dispuestos a resolver todas sus preguntas. Nuevamente, gracias. Buen resto de día y hasta la próxima. Chao, chao.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Ciao.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bonjour.